The Assassination of Gianni Versace is a true crime miniseries that delves into the life of Andrew Cunanan, a serial killer that was caught after he infamously murdered Gianni Versace. The show starts off with Versace's murder and the aftermath. Then it moves in reverse chronological order, going through each murder committed by Cunanan until it reaches his childhood in the 8th episode. The 9th and last episode comes back to right after Versace's murder and ends with a standoff between Cunanan and the FBI. After watching the first episode of the miniseries, my parents and I sat down and had a discussion about our thoughts on the murder of Versace and the possible motives.
Hello.
Okay. So my first question is, do you think the murder was premeditated, and why?
It was definitely premeditated because he came with the gun, the suspect, Andrew Cunanan, and previous to getting there in the program, he was seen being sick, like he knew he was going to be doing some heinous crime, and it upset him deeply. So I definitely think he went there with the intention of killing Gianni Versace.
Mom?
I do think it was thought out, but I think it was more a crime of passion or anger. Something was really wrong, and he couldn't decide. It seemed like he had the gun, but for me it seemed like he couldn't decide whether he was going to kill him or not. So, in that sense, it's premeditated. But I don't think that he had it all thought out. I think he just went with his gut instinct when he walked up and saw him.
Okay. So I also think it was premeditated, just because of all the stuff he had prepared. I don't think it was too premeditated, like you said, Mom. Like, I think it was more right place, right time, because Versace was just coming back from that magazine shop. So, like, Cunanan wouldn't have known he was there at that time. So I think it was a combination of premeditation and luck. So my next question is, what are your thoughts on the motive?
For motive, the initial motive appeared to be either obsessive attraction between Cunanan, well, not between, but from Cunanan towards Versace, just obsessing with him, in some kind of celebrity fashion. But then it seemed like maybe there's something more. I think that the crime has a bigger set of reasons than just that. I think Cunanan is part of the overall picture. Maybe he's being used, or maybe he slipped into Versace's world to do the crime. But somehow I think that the motive is not just some kind of obsessive love for Versace. I think that there's money involved here somehow, through the company or the control of the company or the listing on the stock exchange that was mentioned towards the end of the first episode.
Yeah, I think, when I start to think about the whole episode and what you were saying about, I thought in the beginning it was just obsession. He seems like a habitual liar and he wanted to be in that world. And maybe when he was pushed away by Versace, and then he wanted to go and kill him because he was so angry. But then all the little pieces that are happening, especially the part where he killed 4 other people, but we didn't see anything like that yet. Like, how did that happen? And they already have pictures of him and know him. And then I go back to him being on the beach with that big cut on his thigh.
I forgot about
right?
that.
Remember?
Right,
And
yes.
he went into the ocean and he was
Yes.
screaming because it was in such pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, did somebody do something to him to want him to get him to kill Versace? Or what was it? But it seems like he has some type, like he's a serial killer if he's killing all these people, or somebody has some control over him and they're getting him to kill certain people that they want dead.
Okay, so I agree with most of what you said. I think also Cunanan might be just like a little crazy. Like, I think there's something psychologically wrong with him. Yeah, I agree with like the obsession thing and the possibility of like somebody controlling his actions. And you guys actually touched on my two sub questions for this question.
Okay.
So the first one is, do you think Cunanan was a serial killer for hire, or does he murder people for personal reasons?
Okay, well, you have to answer that, you have to assume first that the FBI is accurate in saying that he killed 4 people. One is just a major thing, including some people at the FBI, as a massive conspiracy of sorts for some kind of financial gain, payoffs, things of that nature. Or has Cunanan been set up to make it look like he killed 4 other people to the FBI, and really he did not? So we don't know that yet. It could go either way. But if you believe that he did kill the 4 other people, then I have 2 theories there. One, it was he's some kind of killer for hire, because in the beginning he seemed to have no money, and towards the end he had nicer clothes. He walked into what appeared to be a hotel lobby, and security appeared to nod toward him like the security knew him and was familiar with him coming and going from a nice hotel. The other theory I have then is that he may have killed the other 4 people as practice towards killing Versace, leading up to that, and maybe he's only being paid or part of that. That was the goal, like to get Versace, and then he wanted to work up to it to make sure he was able to do it when the time came.
You mean like throwing them off, like killing those other 4 people to make it not look connected? Or
no, the last part I'm thinking is just as a practice run, kind of.
Right. Oh, okay.
Because we don't know the people, or if he was involved with them, or who they might be.
Yeah.
Just a couple of theories.
Yeah, I was questioning why he had such nice clothes at the end. Like, where was he getting it? Because in the beginning, with his sister, he was saying, I have nothing, and you saw nothing in his closet. And now he's walking around in expensive outfits and expensive hotels, like you were saying. And so he's getting that from somewhere. Like, he didn't steal it from Versace, because he killed them out front and left the scene right away. Mm-hmm. So who's giving him this money? And did it have something to do with the whole stock exchange thing, like making his company go public? Did somebody not want it to go public? That's the way they stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
But I still would like to know how the other 4 people are connected, and if it was just practice before he went and killed.
Right.
So you guys talked about my second sub question again. Do you think the stock exchange deal was a motivator for the murder, or is it like purely coincidental?
It seems like it could be a motivator, but you have to wait and see who was to gain from that whole thing happening.
Yeah, I feel like if it was a motivator, it had to have been an inside job, because keeping the company private would only benefit like the people already in the company.
The other thing I was thinking was, so his boyfriend, and the way he was telling the cops about the lifestyle of Gianni Versace, he could have been like hire somebody to kill him because he was jealous or angry. But then why? Because then he would lose all that he had.
Yeah, and didn't they say that he was the one that brought home he went out and got the people for Versace?
Yeah, but eventually he could be jealous because he was...
I guess so. Or it could have been a hate crime. Dad, do you have any thoughts on the stock exchange deal?
I think it's going to wind up being a more financial motivation for killing Gianni. I think that somehow we're going to discover that there's something we don't know about yet, that someone can gain financially from not being listed on the New York Stock Exchange. It may be someone internally within the family to gain that way, or it could be even some outside firm or person that might gain a competitor, things of that nature, to have the company not go public.
So my next question is, Cunanan looked like sick right before he shot Versace. So do you think he was nervous about killing him? Do you think he was actually like sick? Or do you think he might have been drugged?
Nervous is possible. That was my first thought. And I'll stick with nervous then, because I don't think he was drugged. I didn't see any indication of that. And could the sickness be getting ill be part of the wound on his thigh, like some illness? But then it never showed up anywhere else throughout the first episode. So I'm going to say the getting ill was probably, getting sick was probably nerves.
Okay.
I think it was nerves too. I think he was very nervous about it. And then I think he ran into the ocean because he knew he'd be in a lot of pain from the salt water in the wound.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gave him like the anger to get out there and do it.
After finishing the show, we found out that Cunanan is a compulsive liar who murders people for various reasons, and he murdered Versace out of an extreme obsession combined with jealousy. Before Versace's murder, Cunanan hallucinates a conversation with him that seems to turn his jealous obsession into jealous rage.
Oh, you think you're better than me? Is that it? You think you're better than me? You're not better than me. We're the same. The only difference is you got lucky.
Not the only difference, sir.
Yeah? What else you got?
I'm loved.
Cunanan's murderous rampage starts with the murder of his best friend and ends with him committing suicide to avoid capture and imprisonment. The Assassination of Gianni Versace is a chilling story of murder, love, and family, all twisted into one. If its Emmys are anything to go by, the show is highly worth watching, especially if you enjoy true crime.